spicy P was more like a medium or mild P for this year's rendition of the NBA playoffs. So what really happened to Pascal Siakam to cause such horrific performances against the Boston Celtics? Let's get into it. Welcome to Amateur Hour Sports, where we're talking about Pascal Siakam today, coming off, still feeling the bitterness of that Game 7 loss against the Boston Celtics. And Pascal Siakam has gotten a lot of criticism from the Toronto media and Toronto fans alike after his poor performances throughout the bubble, not just in the Boston series, but pretty much throughout the entire bubble, but really highlighted against a good team like the Boston Celtics. And some of it is warranted, yeah. Pascal Siakam was really bad against the Boston Celtics. In some games, and I think in Game 7 specifically, his turnovers had the biggest negative effect on the team. Obviously, it's a team sport, but those situations where Pascal Siakam was turning the ball over in the clutch, missing easy shots in the clutch, really hindered our ability to win that Game 7. But not all of it's warranted, but some of it still is. And I'm still going to support Pascal Siakam, but you do need to talk about what happened in that playoff series and, in the bubble as a whole. Why was it so bad for Pascal Siakam? Like, his stats were nowhere near reminiscent of his 23 points per game, shooting 46% from the field, 36% from three over the course of the regular season. Those are very good numbers. Those got him a starting spot on the Eastern Conference All-Star team. But in the playoffs, specifically against the Boston Celtics, Pascal Siakam put up 15 points per game, 7 rebounds per game, and 3 assists per game while shooting 38% from the field and an absolutely abysmal 13% from three-point land. Yes, he only hit 4 3-pointers in the entire series, even though he took 32 shots from there. Yes, that is absolutely horrendous shooting from the field for Pascal Siakam from three. Also, more than 2 turnovers a game, which really hindered the Toronto Raptors in those clutch periods. Yes, not a lot went right for Pascal Siakam here. This also includes a combined plus-minus in the series of -22. Just nothing really went right, even though he has shown in the past his ability to be such an incredible playoff performer. If you go back to last season's playoffs in the NBA Finals, the biggest stage of all. Well, it all started with a Game 1 performance against the Warriors where he was 14 for 17 from the field, where he was 2 for 3 from three-point land. Overall in the series, he averaged 20 points per game, and he did so very efficiently. This was as the second choice on offense. This year as the first choice, he wasn't getting stuff done. And I'm not going to knock him in the sense that I don't think he's a first choice piece. You don't become a starter on an all-star team as a second option. I think Pascal Siakam has the ability to be the first option on a contending roster. However, he did not show it in this year's version of the playoffs. So, in his only ever experience as that first option, this is what happened. But that's only one experience. And this comes off a huge lockdown, which had a huge effect on Siakam. A bigger effect on Siakam than a lot of other players. Pascal Siakam, as you probably know by this point, did not get any basketball touches throughout the lockdown period. And Pascal Siakam, who is a huge rhythm player, is going to struggle with that. He plays within the rhythm of the team and the rhythm within his own ability. So when he's shooting hot, he's going to keep on shooting hot. But when he really starts to falter, he gets frustrated, he loses confidence, and that has a significant effect on his shooting and his entire basketballing ability. So without the rhythm at all coming into the bubble period and starting to perform poorly, it started getting to his head. He started shooting more, trying to snap out of it. The worst thing you can do when you're struggling is just continue to throw up shots. Because when they're not falling down, the confidence just sinks and sinks. Toronto media didn't help him. And mentally, he wasn't prepared to enter the playoffs and be that number one option, He really struggled all the way through. We know that. And a lot of that is going to be down to him not getting touches in the lockdown period. But we can't blame it all on that because a professional basketball player, one as talented as Pascal Siakam, needs to be able to sort it out in those big moments. He just never was able to find it in the Boston Celtics series. So the big things for Siakam were not getting the touches and then letting his confidence sink when he first started playing games again because he wasn't hitting his shots. It's all about the confidence for Pascal Siakam, and he did not have it over the course of the playoffs this year. There's a lot of talk all over social media that Pascal Siakam should get traded for the way he played, and that's completely ridiculous. Pascal Siakam is the best player on the Toronto Raptors, and he still is. He's about to enter his max contract period that he absolutely deserves. Again, he was the starter on an all-star team. There was no indication that he is not a max contract player. One playoff season is not enough evidence for me to suggest that he is not a number one option, like I was saying earlier. Pascal Siakam is definitely the number one option for the Toronto Raptors, and I think he's going to use these experiences to fuel him. This is just going to be fuel in the fire. He's going to be putting work in. He's not going to be just sitting down, not getting any touches. He's going to be putting work in to sort out what went wrong in this Boston Celtics series. I have full faith in that. This is a guy who has not been playing basketball for a very long time. This is a guy who picked up a basketball late on in his life, learned the game quickly, built himself up through the D-League, through the G-League, was a G-League Finals MVP, got him into the NBA, became an MIP, won an NBA championship. This guy has been through so much adversity over the course of his life as a basketball player. And this is just another obstacle that he is going to overcome for the next season. This is going to make him hungry to be even better than he was this season. He was last season averaging 17 points per game. This year, 23. Next year, I'm thinking 25 plus for Pascal Siakam. Still shooting efficiently. You know, the difference between 2 seasons ago and the season that just passed are Pascal Siakam really got his 3-ball down during the regular season, obviously not in the playoffs. In his MIP year, he really only ever shot threes from the corner, and he was wide open. But we saw in the regular season this year, the work that he put in to be able to be a good 3-point shooter from anywhere behind the 3-point line, and also pulling up for 3 off the dribble, maybe even a step back. He completely added that new utility to his game that wasn't there the year before. So there's no indication that a former MIP is not going to continue to have these big jumps, because he's still a bit of a raw player in terms of his basketballing ability, because he hasn't played nearly as long as a lot of other guys in the NBA. Because of this, he's still going to continue to develop these new assets to help him play the game, and going to be doing the work to overcome this. Like, he knows he messed up in this series. He said in an interview after that he is going to take a lot of the blame, rightfully so. But don't get so down on him. We know what he is. We know what he can become. We know he can become a better version of himself next season. What Toronto fans, Toronto media need to do is instill the confidence that he can be that player. And I'm sure, Nick Nurse and Masai are going to be working with him to make sure that he understands the importance of his role and filling that role. Because Pascal Siakam certainly did not do that in the playoffs, but that's not a complete indictment against him as a player. We've seen his highs in the playoffs, we've seen his lows in the playoffs, and he's going to use this and build off this and thrive even further next season. Obviously, a lot is up in the air about the future of the Toronto Raptors given a lot of the contract situations, but Pascal Siakam is a guy that is here to stay. And I've said on this channel that as long as Pascal Siakam is here, the Raptors can be a competitive team going into the playoffs, can be at worst a middle seed in the East going into the playoffs. And with a coach like Nick Nurse, the coach of the year, they can still be a threat in the East. But obviously, a lot of work needs to be done to put a team out on the court next season. But Pascal Siakam, no matter what, is going to be that key figure on the team. The only reason Pascal Siakam would not be here is if somehow he was involved in a trade for Giannis. I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen. I really doubt that Masai would want to part with Pascal Siakam, but we shall see how it plays out. Basically, Pascal Siakam is almost definitely going to be a Raptor at the start of next season, and I have full faith that he's going to be an all-star yet again. So how do you guys feel about the Pascal Siakam situation? What do you think is the best course of action for the Toronto Raptors, Masai Ujiri, and all the people involved in those decisions? Also, do you think Pascal Siakam is going to bounce back next season? And if so, what kind of numbers do you think he's going to put up? Because I think he's putting up 25 points per game. I think he'll be shooting about 47, 48 from the field, and still 36% from 3, thereabouts, above 35%, above that kind of average level of efficiency. But still, Pascal Siakam is going to be a killer yet again next season. Thank you so much for watching Amateur Hour Sports. Please, if you did enjoy the video at any point, please like the video and hit that subscribe button to keep up with more NBA content coming your way. A lot of NBA content with a focus on the Toronto Raptors. Also, hit the notification bell to stay up to date with the 4 videos that we post a week on the channel. At the end of the day, I believe what I say. If you disagree, that is okay. We'll see you again next time.